joined for this segment by Gary Picou, and Gary is with PS Engineering. Gary, audio panels have come a really long way from back in the day when you had to plug in, a separate plug for your microphone and your headset, and you and the co-pilot or whoever's in the right seat might be able to, and now we're talking about Bluetooth connectivity and phones and music and so many other things. What is the state of the audio panel industry right now?
The state of our industry is such that have we reached any kind of limit as what you can do with an audio panel? And we think about that every day, and we're always intent on bringing the best possible experience into the cockpit, because it's really important. The audio panel is something that's with the pilot and the co-pilot and the passengers all the time. It provides them the content from the radios, the content of the intercom, and the music. So we are the Dan's fans of audio panels. That's all we do. We focus on it, and every day we work to bring it to our customers. It's really cool that I come to the show and there's all these other products out here, but we give something to the pilot that he's going to enjoy. This year, when we did the Intella Audio, the spatial audio component in our PMA 450 a couple of years ago, that really caught us by surprise about how great it was for the pilots. So we made that decision in January to put it into our 8000 series. So the 8000 BTI has a spatial audio in it, and the same price as the old audio panel, the 8000 BT. We added that feature, which is really what we consider a safety feature, because the more you can enhance the pilot's experience with the communications and improve that, that's our own little safety niche. So.
I recall that when I first learned to fly, and this will date me a little bit, it may date me a lot, but there wasn't an audio panel in the airplanes in which I learned to fly.
Right.
My instructor had to shout over the engine noise. I had to listen to the radio over the speaker that was built into the radio. Maybe part of the reason that I have tinnitus today. So the audio panel really, when they started to come into wider use, it really became a safety feature for the airplane and also a health factor for pilots.
A health factor, the fact that if you had an instructor, now you have more of a conversation with the instructor instead of having you shout. And I have experienced that too, where I just, what did you say?
Turn right now? What?
Yeah. And of course, PS Engineering got into the audio panel business. We took our intercoms that we were successful with in the 90s, combined them with an audio selector panel, and then we found all the other tricks you could do, like the split mode. I mean, that was something that we just pioneered, to be able to have the pilot on one radio, the co-pilot on another radio. So just the traditional, the concentration of what we can do into the audio system is kind of...
But you said also that you're forever considering what comes next. Where is the innovation in the audio panel? It's not something that people think about a lot,
right? Because
it's there, it works, they can talk to the other people in the airplane.
That's what we think about.
Yeah.
We're going to think about it, and we're going to bring it out to the general public.
So where is the innovation? What are you looking at down the road?
You think I'm going to tell you now?
Well, maybe you can give me a hint. No, but seriously, I mean, where you think about how that device is used and what other functionality can it bring to the people that are not only in the cockpit of the airplane, but the passengers as well?
It's a matter of improving the quality, improving the distribution, giving the music to the people that want it instead of just having everybody hear it. And then look for other features to come out, like the ability to maybe provide that audio to something else, some other device. So.
For instance, say like a phone or something of that nature,
or maybe even a Bluetooth headset for somebody that has hearing aids. This is the kind of thing we want to improve with the whole cockpit experience. So.
But you're also including, for instance, for outer markers, inner markers, all of that thing. All of that stuff is still in that same spot.
It's still in there, and we always talk about, are we going to take it out? Because we do offer them without it, because the marker beacon is something which is going to be going into the sunset.
Right.
but people still want it. People still need it. So,
is there a function for the audio panel in the next gen world then, as it's always been part of that the rest of the navigation?
We'll never be able to get rid of radios. We're always going to have the desire to speak to control center and to receive the weather over the audio. So.
Let's talk a little bit about, and we're talking with a lot of folks about the upcoming Part 23 rewrite and how the changes in certification might affect their segment of the industry. What do you think about in the audio panel segment when they start looking at a standards-based certification as opposed to the certification process they have now?
In truth, the audio business has been a consensus standard, the RTCA DO 214, and we've always complied with that, and it provides a baseline for us. I don't see it really changing very much for us at all. I mean, the way we handle audio is kind of defined by the laws of physics. You know, we got to have 300 hertz to 3,000 hertz or 20,000 hertz, depending upon what the application is. So, would reducing certification cost for the environmental testing? Are we going to not do that? No, we still have to do our environmental testing because we want to make sure that whatever we provide to the airplane meets type design and is a condition for safe operation. So whether or not we report to the FAA, provide that information, we still have to do the testing. So just to make sure that our system is safe.
But are you also providing audio panels for the experimental amateur built and light sport markets as well?
Yeah, our PDA 360. You know, and it was it's a lower cost product, which has got fewer features. It's not a 6-place audio panel. It's a 4-place. Doesn't have a speaker amplifier. These are the kind of things that we take out.
And that, of course, makes it a little bit more cost effective for the person who's building their own airplane or trying to get in at a lower price point. When you look down at things like the Part 23 rewrite, and then there was the announcement at Sun and Fun with the non-certified Dynon being essentially TSO'd for certified aircraft. How do you see any effect on your business from that kind of a development in the avionics industry?
Any kind of a development which helps to improve the ability of people to get into airplanes, reduce the cost of ownership. That's going to be a positive development. We'll sell more audio panels if we have more airplanes. That's a good thing. Where I see the other challenge is actually getting pilots to buy those airplanes and pilots to fly those airplanes. I was thinking this morning, maybe we have a threat from drones, which is not so much they're in the airspace, but people who will fly them instead of flying an airplane. You ever think about that?
Well, I've flown airplanes and I've flown drones, and it's just not the same.
I understand, because you've flown in an airplane. But we need to make sure we get pilots into those airplanes and they get the whole experience. So.
But you also wonder if maybe that drone experience might be an entree to get somebody interested in saying, well, this is cool, but what's it like up there? And they might come along and do that. I want to talk to you because we've got a couple of minutes here. And on April 1st, I went through and said, what can we do that would be interesting about audio panels? And I came up with this thing that I thought was totally off the wall about making everybody sound like an airline pilot. You sat down here and told me that you've had that idea for years. Where did that come from in your brain? Because I know where it came from in mine.
It came from spending many years listening to air traffic control, and you hear these guys on the radio, and they sound different. So having been a student and flown in that kind of with other people and with other. I was in flight safety when there was a lot of people from other countries, and they don't sound like airline pilots. So.
But the interesting thing about that, and this is kind of what ties back to a little bit more serious interview, is that technology actually exists. What kind of algorithm is it that it's like the guy who puts up the Dragway ad on his digital audio workstation. Is that basically what it is?
Yeah, it would be something like a voice change the frequency, and so it would lower frequency a little bit, maybe change the cadence, something like that. So.
Is there an application for something like that that makes it so that, and I'm not talking about changing somebody's voice per se, but as we all, particularly those of us that fly around uncontrolled airports and such, there's such an inconsistency in what we hear, even in headsets, and we're trying to say, okay, that guy reported there, and you're looking for the airplane and such. Is there an application that could really help clean up all that audio so that when we're not talking to air traffic control, we're just talking amongst ourselves in different airplanes, to make sure that becomes a safety issue as well, because you can get a better idea of who's where and what they're doing?
It's an interesting idea. I'm sure something is possible like that, and maybe if the regulatory landscape shifts so that we don't have to provide a particular frequency for the voice, we can change things a little bit, shift it, that might be possible. That's a lot of what we do with our spatial audio, the IntelliAudio, which is to take COM1 and put it in one location in your head space.
Right.
It's called a head-related transfer function, and COM2 in another space. So if you're entering an uncontrolled airport and you're listening to the common frequency, then you'd be able to really tell that there's somebody on that frequency. They're down there.
And is there a way also with, say, for instance, some kind of noise reduction technology to, and you recall, I'm sure you've heard, somebody will key a mic, and even with a headset and an audio panel, you'll hear engine noise, you'll hear all of this kind of thing that will really make it so that it's difficult to understand them. Is there a noise reduction technology that will help filter some of that out so what you hear is the person that's talking on the radio?
There is. I mean, and there's all kinds of things that you can do on the front end, like better microphones, improved microphones. The leather mic muffs from Oregon Aero, they really help improve intelligibility in the transmitting. So one of the things that we face as an audio panel manufacturer is that when somebody keys the radio, we send that microphone straight to the radio.
Right.
We don't do any processing for the transmit side because that's, that has to be purely sent to the radio because it expects to get that microphone directly. So, so we really can't do anything on that side.
You can tell I've spent some time in the audio business myself.
Yeah, right. There's a lot of similarities between.
Well, Gary, I really appreciate you taking some time, and if you'd like to tell the folks that are watching something about what they can come and talk to you about here at the show, just kind of give us the 30-second elevator speech.
All right. Well, this show is so great because we get to see so many of our dealers in person, and because we can't always get out to visit them. So if they come and listen to the IntelliAudio, they get really blown away. I love to watch their smiles when they turn it on and off, and the comms just separate and clean up. So that would be really love to see all of our dealers, and if they want to bring their friends and let us demonstrate it to them.
Have some show and tell.
That's right.
All right, well, Gary, thanks very much for taking some time to talk with us today.
Aero-News Network's coverage of the 59th Annual AEA International Convention and Trade Show, live from Orlando, Florida, is brought to you in part by the following sponsors.
The 2-inch MD93 digital clock and USB charger features intuitive operation with 4 modes: local time, universal time, flight timer, and stopwatch. The dual USB charging port supplies 2.1 amps of power per port to personal electronic devices with a USB interface. Learn more at mcico.com.
Redbird Flight Simulations is dedicated to revolutionizing flight training by designing, manufacturing, and delivering affordable and innovative flight training technologies. Each Redbird device is designed to enhance the training experience for pilots of all levels, from student to ATP. Redbird is quickly becoming the industry standard for flight training. Since Redbird introduced its revolutionary FMX in 2007, colleges, universities, and flight training operations around the world have integrated Redbird products into their curriculum. It's time to discover what Redbird can do for you. Join the migration.